The pressure on Mikel Arteta has been increasing, especially after the draw against Liverpool. Arsenal fans expect consistent results and, above all, trophies. The home draw, particularly in such an important match, can be seen as a missed opportunity, leading to frustration. Arteta, who has already shown potential as a manager, now faces the challenge of transforming the team into a true title contender. Fan support is crucial, but patience may be running thin, and the need to win is becoming more urgent. What do you think would be the best strategy for Arteta to revitalize the team?
Emotional, spiky, frustrated, all the words.
The 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, in the first half, it wasn't good enough. I think against PSG, they started very well. He wants them obviously to start a little bit brighter, a bit sharper than that. That wasn't the case today. It started really well. Didn't have Rice today with them energetic runs, but we can't keep blaming that. I've given Arsenal loads of excuses this season with Saka and Gabriel and Havertz, key players, and I think that does matter over the season.
Is he almost sort of trying to say, look, this is potentially one of the toughest moments in our season because of what we've been through this week. We've just lost a Champions League semi-final. We're coming to the home of the champions, and we have to be there still. Is that what he's driving at?
Yeah, he's driving high standards, but I think the thing that really sort of stood out in the interview for me, and I think Mikel Arteta in the last couple of weeks in terms of his press conferences, he's saying things and he's getting emotional. And at times he's sounding like a little bit of a fan, not so much the manager, I think. He mentioned something out there, he was really strong on how many players they've had sent off this season.
6, yeah.
6, he's putting his hand at 6. I think he's convinced inside that there's almost, they've been victims this season in some ways. You know, they've had the 6 sendings off, the injuries that they've had. I think deep down, I think he thinks they could have won the league without this, and that the red cards are not their fault. It was the referees and the injuries. Now, there's no doubt they'd be a lot closer if they hadn't had players sent off. But that's down to you, the sending off. They are down to you. They weren't all sendings off, of course. There was the one at Wolves that probably wasn't. But that's going to happen in a season. And the injuries have hurt them this season, but it also played for them last season. With the last 2 seasons, what they've done in terms of competing with Man City was fantastic, but a lot of that was down to having the same 8 or 9 players week in, week out, and him never rotating. But I'm a massive fan of Mikel Arteta. I think he's a brilliant manager. I think the job he's done, and to get Arsenal where they are, let's not forget, for a good few years, it was them and Tottenham fighting for Champions League positions. Then they made this jump to compete with sort of Manchester City, and they followed it up again last season. And the team who've pushed Liverpool this season, and this felt like it should have been their season. Now, there's no doubt next season the pressure will be on Mikel Arteta massively in terms of winning something and winning something big. And the Arsenal board, if they don't do that, will have a massive issue because they won't want to change the manager, but there won't be that many people saying 5 or 6 years without a trophy, and they'll be looking at how many managers can make that next step. The problem with changing Mikel Arteta, because as I said, I think he's done a brilliant job at Arsenal, is Arsenal could easily become what Chelsea are right now. Or not so much Manchester United and Tottenham this season, but they could go from a team who are coming second year in, year out, to a team who don't actually get into the Champions League. And that's the big conundrum Arsenal as a football club will have in 12 months. If Arsenal go close again but don't actually get across the line.
I suppose the bigger question is, in the wider context, is success finishing second, which they could still do for a 3rd successive season, and incidentally, the last time they did that, they won the double the next season, and reaching a Champions League semi-final.
I think it's progress, but success is winning things. Obviously, don't forget he won the FA Cup earlier on in his tenure.
So what if they win the Carabao Cup next year then?
Well, that's not the one that you want to win. FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League, that's what we're looking at. They got to the semi-finals. There's been progression. But I think success is when you win things. Let's go back to his record. I think he finished 8th twice, and then the 5th, and then 2nd twice as well. So they're moving in direction. I think he's the man to take them over the line. I just think he's frustrated in how the season's gone.
It feels like next season has to be the season because you can't
control everything, though, can you, Jamie? I mean, I just want to show you a graphic. He talked about the luck that's involved sometimes. And, and I think you're right. He said sometimes he feels like the luck has gone against his side. But to go 84 points, 89 points, and this season to be second best to Liverpool as well. And all right, it might feel like an opportunity slip. But over the course of the last 3 seasons, only Manchester City have more points, 4 more than this Arsenal side have. But City have got 2 Premier League titles to show for it. And Liverpool have got the Premier League title to show for it this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and
so is that a question of good fortune then, or bad fortune in the case of Arsenal?
Listen, they've come up against the team who won the treble. They've come up against a Liverpool team this season with a new manager, have probably just gone up to another level no one was expecting. And that's why I keep going back to when I'm saying I think Mikel Arteta is a brilliant manager. I do. I don't think he's, like, oh, he's lucky to be in a job. He's gone 5 years without a trophy. He has created one of the best teams in Europe. There's no doubt about that. But what I would say is also to counter that is I played for a Liverpool team who come very close to winning the league title on 2 occasions. We were up against Alex Ferguson, the most successful manager in Premier League history. The Invincibles with Arsenal, Jose Mourinho and Abramovich's millions. No one cares about that anymore. They just say to me, "You didn't win the Premier League." No one. There's no like, oh, but. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many points he's got there. It doesn't matter the fact he's up against Pep Guardiola. It doesn't matter how many injuries he's had or how many red cards he have. Have you won anything? No. That's the end of it.
But he's built something special. I think he's built something special in terms of. Don't forget, Arsenal a couple of seasons ago was very toxic. It was very toxic. Everywhere around it, people wasn't enjoying.
But do you agree with Jamie? Does he have to win next year?
I mean, have to is a strong word. It depends what it is. I mean, if they finish second this season, yeah, you'd say 1 more. But don't forget, Man City next season. I'm sure Liverpool are going to be stronger as well, as long as they're competing. And this year in the Champions League.
Who's your favourite for next season? If we said, who would you actually be looking at?
Let me see the transfers at least first. But I think he's doing a good job. I think Jamie's right in terms of he's frustrated. He come up against some great. Man City won 4 years on the bounce. One of the best teams in Premier League history. He's doing a good job, but he just needs something to show for all that good work he's done.